My name is Kelvin Heard, I am a healer, and this is Angela Donovan, a leading spiritual mentor. Many people today suffer from what the doctors would call maybe mental illness, hearing voices and not understanding what these real voices actually really are. And in our field we understand that there's something different.
It's interesting that so many people have the ability to hear beyond what would be taken as normal through the physical senses. Over the years I've met a lot of people who have had a voice or voices which have been affecting them. The worst cases, I mean, there have been doctors who actually have understood that this is much more than medically diagnosed, that there is something out in that field. Every human has their field. And the voice has, or voices have always had a lead voice. And I've written quite a lot on this actually, because I've met so many people who have the problem, and they're told often how to either kill someone or how to kill themselves. So it's never ever anything charming. No. It's always something most distressing. So then you have to say, well, that it's coming from a very dark place. And there are other dimensions, and we know that, and there are denser dimensions. So then if we've got these people that were people who have died and have left their physical bodies but never really left planet Earth because they loved something to do with the physical, and they refused to accept their death and move on, and that's a mental thing, and also they were tainted anyway with some thoughts of abuse, use and abuse, from the ones I've known and fought with. I would say that these are the ones that are actually trying to attach themselves to the field of another human that's living. Now, like for like, if you've got a depressed soul or somebody who is in a position where they're ill, become depressed, it's the perfect field to have some being, entity, come in and start attacking and affecting it. Now, often drugs are given to dull down the senses in order that the mind blocks from it. But it's never successful. It stops to an extent, but it doesn't stop the fact that the whole field is tainted by these entities.
Is there anything that anyone can do to help themselves in that situation?
Recognising and knowing this truth is number one. Right. Because if they realise that they're not mad, nothing so mad as everyone anyway, and that this is a reality, a true reality, the world is an illusion.
Absolutely.
And it's time that we realised that there are these multi-dimensions, and that we, man especially, it's man more than woman, do you like that, have created the darker side, because the darker side of the nature, and that's what's really allowed this to breed and infiltrate into this reality.
What is, do you think, the power of that darker side? You know, that someone doesn't want to go to the illumination. What holds them in that darkness, do you think?
Well, you'd be... Okay, so let's talk about them. If you've got somebody living who's suffering depression or illness and has been affected, most terrible that if they then, through the voice, are told how to kill themselves, jump under a train, which I've had a number of people have this terrible happening. You know, they need help to be released after death, otherwise they're stuck here. They're in the field with the rest of the dark force of entities. They're really quite vile, and most people don't want to know this exists, but if their people are getting voices, they do need to know. Now there is one other thing with the voices, and I've said this and I actually wrote about this very lightly, and that is that if you're a right-handed person, a voice that comes through on your right is going to be a voice that is not only light, enlightened, and free, and beneficial. It will always assist you. They will always assist you. But if you get one on your left, I can tell you those voices are coming from what I'd call the down below dense field, and they're seriously bad news.
Do you think there are some government departments that would know about this?
There's no question that there are many scientific laboratory working on this and sending out signals of microwaves that are actually sending out voices, sending out visuals, and it goes back to the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
This has happened time and time and time again, and it's everywhere, and it's really not nice.
So you're saying this could be done purposefully?
Absolutely, but also the doorway then to, as I'm talking about the denser field below us, I'm saying below us because it's easier for us to understand it,
Sure.
is going to open up even more, because there's more people going totally off their heads with these voices being microwaved into them.
Yeah.
So it's not very nice as test subjects, which is what a majority of people have been test subjects. And who was a guy who was talking the other week, who was talking about from the 50s to 2018, 500,000 people are guinea pigs, test subjects. That's nice. Well, so we can't afford to be ignorant. We can't afford to be asleep.
Yeah.
We really need to know what's going on and how to do something for ourselves to stop this.
Yeah. This is quite a controversial thing I'm going to say, but there's many, many people who disappear from certain countries. Is it possible that they could be tested on for different things? Do you think?
mean disappear in...
Taken.
As far as we know, taken.
Yeah, taken by governments, I'm saying.
Well, I would say without question, depending on if they're in trouble because they've spoken out on something and upset the apple cart. I know that there are thousands of children who are taken and to underground facilities. It seems that the list goes on and on as to who's missing.
Yeah.
And I believe, I don't like saying this, but it seems to be worse in the Western world.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true. It could easily be as bad in Asia and everywhere else. But it's not nice to know that children have a greater power within them, the ones that are being born in this time, that could be used for the benefit of science. That's nice. But only if you want a world that is taken over and automated with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I don't really want War of the Worlds.
No. Fair enough.
Spirituality's gone.
Yeah.
Our souls could be imprisoned. And you and I know this, that our soul has chosen to come into a body to have an experience of this life.
Yeah.
We never agreed for the intruders to take over this planet to make it an artificial intelligence in a physical body, which we should be dropping anyway.
Absolutely.
And then what happens to our soul?
Yeah.
We need the freedom.
When do you think the intruders first started coming here?
I know that they were here in the 30s and they were captured in the 40s. I know that. There's a lot of happenings, of course, around the Hitler's time. There were some visitors who did come to try and warn us, certain leaders.
In the Second World War you're talking about?
Around that time, 42.
Yeah. I mean, Hitler was a great mystic, wasn't he? Is that correct?
No, he wasn't.
Was
no,
he? Okay.
I know of his medium and astrologer of the 30s, the Thuja Society, only because I know somebody who was connected to them.
Okay.
That makes me seem very old, doesn't it? They're older than me, probably. But I would say the more I seek to know, the more you meet the people that tell you their truth.
True.
But I know that a gentleman who wasn't from this planet, from Venus, did come and try and warn and say, you've got to stop what you're doing. He wasn't here to take over our world, but the intruders have been.
Yeah. And
they didn't come from this solar system, because they have no love, they have no souls. So that's not right. So but it's only us that can stop it.
Are you saying then that they are after our souls because that enhances their own life?
I know that they can use our energies.
Okay.
And the energy that surrounds us. Our body is actually useless, other than the fact they wanted to test the DNA to breed their own sort.
Sure.
But they're not interested in the body. But there again, are we really interested in the body? It's plant life, isn't it, to an extent? Yeah. We come in, we go out. We come in, we go out. But to take our souls, no. I'm not having that. And there are captured souls at the moment. You know, that is really not nice.
Just recently, actually, when I've been passing certain government installations, I have seen captured souls, which is very distressing.
And again, you see, you're able to see and know this.
Yeah.
There aren't many. There are enough, but there aren't many who understand this. And you know, we talk about it always being undercover, underground, but it's actually true.
Yeah, and it's above ground. It's everywhere. Yeah.
And if you can travel, bilocate, and I, as you know, work with somebody who does, and or astrally, you can actually see these soul beings saying, "Help me, help me."
Yeah.
That's a major job. It really is, to be able to help all of them.
Yeah.
Because they're encased.
Absolutely.
Which sounds vile to say that.
But it's true, that's what I've seen.
So this is a spiritual situation and problem.
Yeah. A big problem.
It really, really
and
is.
manifesting more and more and more. And the big question is why?
Unless it's because there's going to be this desired takeover of this planet, which we will notice. I mean, it can't happen because we are going to say no.
Yeah.
And that law of the universe, and there are laws in the universe, and I do know that, if we say no, they have to leave.
Yeah.
At the moment, you see, these wonderful elitists and world leaders who think they have such immense intelligence, they're going to have everything, which they're not, of course, because they've bought the dummy, and you can't tell them because they won't hear you.
No, exactly.
They believe that it's all going to be fine. And it isn't, because it's all going to be artificial.
Yeah.
No souls.
Absolutely.
But they don't perhaps believe in the spiritual and the soul. They don't believe they come from other planets. And there is a creator.
Yeah.
Where we come from and where we go back to.
Absolutely.